hope so.
Good morning, everyone. I know this is an early morning talk, but I think this is the most exciting talk of this conference because I will share with you how LeaderMed is growing into the leading pharmaceutical company in the world in the next 10 years. So if you look at our business model, we're the only pharmaceutical company out there that's addressing the huge unmet medical needs in Asia patient care market. So the innovation is happening globally. However, the sales and marketing of our company are happening in Korea, China, and the fastest growing Asia healthcare markets. Our business model has a very unique step in the middle where I point you to the center column of the slides where it says improve, invest. It's our re-innovation process. So Asia market has a very, very unique healthcare needs that has never been focused or addressed on. For my 20 years of big pharma experience with Bayer and Sanofi, putting billion-dollar drug sales globally out there on the market, but we have never in global pharma used Asia market as the driving force for clinical phase 2 or 3 design. So that leaves the Asia patient care to be always an add-on for when we roll out the global program. So LeaderMed, our company, is revolutionary changing that. So instead of rolling out programs with the patient from Asia needs to be an add-on, we're using the market in Asia to be the driving force and the only focus for our phase 2-3 design. And let me show you how we got that done. And the reason we do that is we cannot ignore the 8 to 10% on average growth, very strong growth. Even in COVID years, post-COVID times, it still continues to grow every year, 8 to 10% steadily in China. And it is the second largest pharmaceutical market in the world. Even looking at year 2020, the spending on healthcare in China is a quarter of the whole US healthcare spending. So with that 2 years growth into 2022, it is still going very strongly in that market. And in that market, there is 140 million diabetes and overweight patients. There is 140,000 hemophilia patients are still handicapped, most of them in China, in Asia today. So the huge unmet medical needs in that area of the world is also thirsty, waiting for the best innovative drugs that we can discover and develop in US and Europe. So LeaderMed, we take the most suitable compound assets from our US European partner, for example, OPCO, for this case, we have 2 phase 3 programs that OPCO finished phase 2 development in US, but we have taken it and re-innovating it to fit the patient care needs, very unique for China. So we have a GLP-1 and glucagon dual agonist that is the most advanced in this class in the world, positioned to start phase 3 in the next 3 to 6 months in China and Korea, targeting launch in 2025 to 2026. And upon launch, this drug will grow into the dominating weight reduction / diabetes drug for the Asia market. For diabetes, we have the world's best, the only long-acting factor 7A, which is the best blood coagulation factor to address the pediatric needs for hemophilia. Kids are going handicapped right now in that part of the world. We also have a phase 1 program ongoing where we work with a ARDS, which is the terminal stage of COVID and other reason-caused ARDS indication. We also have our in-house discovery program ongoing in both Princeton and Shanghai, addressing the global positioning of long-term chronic diseases area. So let me just summarize how we take one program from our partner that is phase 2 finished, and then turn it around, expand into 2 to 3 more indications, and also doubling and tripling and quadrupling its investment returns. So this LM008 program, it is the oxyntomodulin modified peptide, which is very safe. It has been in the US tested in over 600 patients in phase 1, 2A, 2B studies by OPCO. With our partner, we have this compound well positioned for a phase 3 study that takes only a year and a half to complete. As a contrast, in US, this phase 3 program for this compound would take 10,000 patients at least 5 years to complete. But when we have this well-positioned compound, in US, the trial was for diabetes, but now we successfully add obesity into this indication, expanding, doubling the sales return for this particular compound. Also, we have investigator-initiated trial ongoing in Beijing, allow us to select the best phase 3 dose and also improve the probability of success by significant value statistically to bring this program to the market in Asia, addressing the huge, not only the diabetes medical needs, but also the 200 million overweight patients in Asia. And this compound is the best suitable compound in Asia because we have not only the reduction of HbA1c, also a very strong weight reducing, as well as cholesterol and triglyceride reduction effect. And let me tell you why this is a better compound than Lilly tirzepatide, which is just got approved by FDA a couple weeks ago. Because our compound has the best range of weight reduction for Asia patients. Asia patients, doesn't matter if they're diabetes or just overweight, they don't need 7 to 8 kilograms per month weight reduction. They want a very mild weight reduction because their BMI are not very high to begin with. But they do want to lose 2 to 3 kilograms of weight, mainly from visceral fat. Because although they look slim, but they have already accumulating that 3 to 4 centimeter of fat around their kidney and liver in their visceral fat. So they want to reduce that. And that is the goal of this drug. So we're simultaneously submitting not only the prescription NDA drug application, but also we will be simultaneously submitting the over-the-counter version of this drug. So as one understand, internet drug sales and over-the-counter ordering of these healthcare treatments in young generations, like age 20 to 40-year-olds, it's very, very strong use in Asia. So they want to get this drug once a week, auto-injector pen into their body, and then address the 2 to 3 kilogram weight loss needs of every month, mainly to be healthier, more beautiful, more fit. So this is a billion-dollar drug potential in that Asia market segment. And our other phase 3 program is a recombinant human factor 7A. It have a twice-a-week injectable profile, very long half-life. Compared to Novo 7, we have half-life of 38 hours. And we have 2 injections per week to effectively not only stop emergency bleeding from the hemophilia kids, but also allow most of the hemophilia kids in China to avoid being wheelchair-bound. And that is the cruel reality right now out there in China. 140,000 hemophilia patients, about half of them have weekly bleeding, causing most of the hemophilia kids to be wheelchair-bound for life. And they cannot go to school, they cannot take sports activity. So our drug, with a very low cost of goods, with a local manufacturing, sufficiently address the development and the healthcare needs of these hemophilia kids in China. And in our facility, we have Princeton at our global office. Then we have Shanghai as our clinical operation headquarters in Asia. And we also will be having the future manufacturing for drug product. We don't do API manufacturing. We rely on our very strong CMO partner like ASIMChem, which is the globally top 3 CMO locally in Korea and China to deliver our API synthesis. But we do have a drug product manufacturing plant in the 3rd airport of Shanghai area. with a 100-acre facility that will serve as the depot for logistics and shipping out all the drugs, exporting from China to cover local country needs such as Korea, Malaysia, Singapore, Pakistan, and 8 other countries in Asia. So with that slides, I explained the model of LeaderMed. So is there any question that I can address? Yes.
How do you address packages by generics in that region?
Generics.
So many companies.
Yes. Okay. Generic competition. That's a very good question. So in China, at least in the 2 phase 3 programs we have right now, there's no direct generic competition yet because the local pharmas have not, because it's a relatively new mechanism. It's a GLP, glucagon dual receptor mechanism, and the factor 7A, no generic competition in these 2 therapeutic areas. So we strategically pick those areas where generic drug cannot address local medical needs. But also, in the meantime, the Chinese market have been shifting into new paradigm. So by year 2026, when we have both drugs on the market, brand name drugs will be occupying 40% of the market instead of now, probably it's 25% of the whole pharmaceutical market. So people, the consumer and patients are shifting their habit of using generics, moving into more brand name drugs. So we think our business model is the best one fitting the paradigm shift in that part of the country and world. Any other question? Okay, so let me go in the slides to further explain to you why LeaderMed is the only company and only platform can make this Western drug successful in Asia markets for marketing and sales and development. So I have a background of big pharma. I have a PhD in pharmacology, worked for Bayer and Sanofi for 17 years, then went back to Beijing and co-founded one of the largest CRO in Asia, Fountain Medical. It's called Clean Choice now. We sold it successfully to Goldman as a success exit. And since then, I have been conducting a 2,000 leading CRO in China, over 60 drug trials and filing at Chinese FDA and Korea and Taiwan and Hong Kong. So my partner, Dr. Jenny Yuan and Mr. Greg Holin in the audience, they're both bring with them over 20 to 30 years of industry experience. Dr. Jenny Yuan was ex-Johnson & Johnson development expert. And Mr. Greg Holin bring with him 30 years of industry experience covering operation and quality SOP, driving the integration of global platforms. So although our teams are based in New Jersey and also Shanghai, but all of our clinical trial data never left the US. It's always kept in our Princeton office. So that really protects the IP of our partner and protects the privacy of clinical trial patient data. So when we move the program from US and Europe into China, we do not do plug and play. That would never work in this situation. Instead, we pick out the most strongest attributes of each drug program, dissect them out, and redesign the local phase 3 trials. Whereas China and Korea will become the most leading, fastest approval country for those drugs. So if our partner takes 5 years to complete their phase 3, our drug will already be approved 3 years ahead of our partner in US and Europe, already being sold to address the unmet medical needs in Asia. So that is a 3-year timeline saving in the $1.2 billion 10-year development, long time for drug development program. So that is a faster return and much higher value for our investor money going into the program. So we are the driving force for connectivity, enabling global asset to have a truly penetration for emerging markets. So I also wanted to emphasize that our partners and investors so far. So we're backed by the largest VC fund from Korea called KTB, and we're also backed by the investment arm of CMS, which is China's largest contract sales organization. And we do have a joint venture with OPCO, our strong partner in US. And not only we have 2 phase 3 programs ongoing with OPCO, we also plan to continue work with OPCO for their new pipeline that they just announced a couple days ago. So we also have very successful experience of bringing pharmaceutical products from global to Asia and have a successful filing of over 60 drugs in China, FDA, and Korea, and other Asian countries in the world. So when we select our compounds, we have a very strict selection process. So instead of going from the research phase 1, extrapolating into 2 or 3, we go both directions. We look at the market needs in Asia and look at the unmet medical needs. And also, most importantly, what will be the profitable sales? So the drug not only addresses the medical needs in Asia, but also it has to be profitable and people are willing to have self-pay model on top of a government reimbursement. So that self-pay model allows 35% of the profit, which is larger than average, what global pharma nowadays are operating under. So our business model really have a lower cost of goods, lower cost of marketing and sales, utilizing the patient registry database that is very unique for LeaderMed only, and allow us to reach patients not only to have plenty of enrollment of phase 3. When our phase 3 starts, the patients are already in the database that we can call upon. So far we have already 5,000 hemophilia patients registering in our database. We also have over 20,000 diabetes/overweight patients registering in our patient database, waiting to join us on the phase 2 trial, phase 3 trials, and also will be the leading group of customers prescribing this drug in the after it's approved. So when we look at these broad indications, and these are long-term drug use, once a hemophilia kid is on the blood infusion of our Factor 7A program, they have to stay on it for life. So it would not take us repeated costs of always finding that target population, and then they 6 months later drop out, and then you have to bring them back. So also for our 008 oxyntomodulin program, once the young generation are using it to reduce their visceral fat, they will keep subscribing to online drug purchase. So it is a very smooth transition. If they only have to see the physician and specialist once, and then they'll keep ordering our drug online, and every week give themselves an injection, and then probably address their needs of weight reduction of 2 to 3 kilograms per month. And that is a very unique business model that have never been properly utilized in that part of the world. So when we work with our partners, we are very flexible. Each program has its unique needs. Each partnership has its unique needs. So we designed joint venture, licensing in, and even sometimes we provide CRO and CDMO support services for our clients. It's whatever makes the global program and the Asia program going in parallel effectively and supporting each other. Our local trials are not only for filing and approval for local Asia region, we also provide a very strong global quality data for our partner in the West to utilize in their US European filing. So for the 2 years of operation, we have successfully secured 3 potential first-in-class pipeline assets. And by end of next year, 2023, we'll have 6 strategic partnerships globally, and we'll have 2+ China CDE Green Channel designation for our 2 phase 3 programs. We'll have 4+ positive data readout, and among that, 2+ are regulatory regional potential pivotal trial readouts. So we will also establish 4 major indications. So for the hemophilia compound, not only we're addressing the hemophilia patients' A and B medical needs, there's also going to be excessive bleeding in surgery. That's the medical needs that simultaneously they would add on for this particular compound. And for our diabetes and obesity compound, we're also adding on diabetes kidney disease because this reduction of lipid and visceral fat properly protects kidney function. And that is another unique aspect of Asia diabetes patients. 40% of diabetes patients in Asia have a failure in kidney function within 2 to 3 years of being diabetic. And that is very different than the West. And these patients are in huge medical needs to not only address their anti-diabetic needs, but also address the kidney function protection needs. And that is the one program, 008, that address all 3 needs. And we also have 2 assets already in clinical trials in Asia. So this is a more expanded picture of our operating team. So we have a strong Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Simon Bruce, who was my colleague when I was working for Big Pharma. He's a Yale-trained endocrinologist with 20 plus years with BMS and Novartis. We also have our operating team in Beijing and Shanghai, and most of them are from my previous CRO team. So we don't have to go out there and build this team. We already have a very strong 2,000 employee team to tap into. Together, our team have put in 10 plus successful NDAs in the world into 80, 60 trials into China. And also we have put in address $5+ billion sales in global markets. And scientific advisory board, we have Dr. Frank Douglas, which is my former boss in Sanofi as the chief scientific officer. And we also work with Dr. Martin Emmanuel Bittman, who is a medical doctor in Oxford University, and they have a strong AI drug discovery platform that LeaderMed is leveraging and collaborating to improve the drug design and our new drug discovery effort in Shanghai laboratory. So with that, I will end my presentation, and I welcome all the investors to invest in us and join us in this exciting rolling out of leading pharmaceutical platform in the world. Thank you.